Welcome!
Welcome to the Omniverse of Nick and the next long-awaited story, mainly for The Walking Dead. What if Negan became the new Alpha? Before we get into it, be sure to check out the Omniverse's homepage, where our channel mascot Omni will direct you to the Discord, both Google Docs, and everything else the Omniverse has to offer, along with smashing the like button, subscribing to the Omniverse of Nick, sharing the Omniverse around, and turning on all Omniversal notifications, and commenting future requests and expectations in the comments section. With all that said, let's begin. So this is the next Walking Dead story, and a long-awaited, just in general story. What if Negan became the new Alpha? Now, in the original, Alpha's group of the Whisperers, teaming and blending in with hordes of walkers, was one of the most dangerous groups in the entire Walking Dead franchise to this day. Negan was used as leverage from Carol to kill Alpha, and none of us, even like the cast, the group, and every single person thought Negan was just going to join Alpha. Had us all fooled for almost the entire season 10. But it would turn out that Carol wanted him to kill Alpha for her because of Henry, and it ended up being a whole case of revenge doesn't make pain feel better, and it was almost like it was done for nothing, but it still saved everybody's lives. And then Whisperers apprehended Daryl and seemingly were going for Negan, but kneeled to Negan as the new Alpha who slain the original Alpha. And we all know that she wasn't the original Alpha because of Hera, but that's beside the point. Anyways, when Negan asked for the shotgun from Alpha, it seemed like he was truly turning and was going to kill Daryl once and for all. But then he turned the shotgun, and it turns out that it was all just an act. And Negan would discard the Whisperer mask at the very end of The Walking Dead when talking to Maggie about Glenn, which Dead City kind of irrelevated that, so didn't really matter, but that's once again beside the point. But Negan never lied when he said that he liked being with the Whisperers and how it made him feel, how he was respected, etc., etc. So this begs the question: how would the story go if Negan had actually became the new Alpha and stayed with the Whisperer faction? That's what we answer today. This will be 2 parts, so let's get on into the story. We open up with Negan trying to redeem Alpha and stopping her from going to kill Lydia and having to go about his plan. But Alpha doesn't listen, and they go to the cabin, which was a fake cabin, to get Alpha off her guard. He slits in Alpha's throat, gets her head off, and gives it to Carol, but that all goes the same. She's apprehended by Daryl. They go to the Pikes, and everything leading up to that point, with Daryl cornering Negan there, and both of them having the angry conversation about Negan liking it and Daryl not trusting Negan still, and yada yada yada, that goes all the same. Then Daryl is apprehended by the 2 Whisperers, who are fiercely loyal to how Negan is the new Alpha, and Negan smiles, going on and seemingly accepting the role. This is where things drastically change, because now this time, it's not an act. Negan is dead serious. Negan asks for the shotgun, and he gets it, and he says, "You weren't lying when you said I liked it, Daryl. Truth is, I like it a lot." Daryl says, "You should probably shoot me." Then it flashes to back whenever Daryl was last on his knees, at the lineup. Then it flashes to Negan with Daryl at the sanctuary, and then Negan having his throat slit by Rick. Then, bang! The shotgun goes off, and Daryl Dixon is killed. Negan with the shotgun, now with a sinister, evil smirk, says, "All hail Negan Smith, the new Alpha. Boys, next order of business. Let's find Jolly Green. His time in the army's over. Negan's time has just begun. Welcome back, Negan Smith, the new and improved Alpha." And Beta went to the place where he did originally destroyed all his equipment, took Alpha's head, cut part of Alpha's face off, put it on his mask, and that all goes exactly the same. Then he takes the whole Whisper and Horde army to Alexandria to kill everybody, and it turns out that nobody's there. And Negan has an army of his own. Fiercely loyal Whisperers and small groups of Walkers. And has a feeling he knows where they are. Beta and the Horde and the rest of the Whisperers that are actually loyal to him, or just going along with him just because. And he also knows killing Daryl, it's going to have drastic consequences. But he is going to make sure that he's prepared for that. Meanwhile, Maggie returns and helps Father Gabriel, Aaron, and everybody else. But Judith senses that something's wrong. Daryl hasn't come back. And Negan, nothing's been heard or said about either one of them, more specifically Daryl. And she's getting a very, very bad feeling that something happened to him. Meanwhile, Carol's having the whole same drastic breakdown that she did in the originals, thinking about dying and everything like that. And I have a feeling that while she wouldn't know about Daryl right away, she's beginning to get that feeling too. Then Negan and Beta meet, and the whole Horde, but it's Whispers versus Whisperers, Walkers versus Walkers, and a much stronger and confident Negan versus Beta. And this fight would begin just like the comics and go very much the direction of the comics, as well as some show dynamics. And Negan just has Beta on the back foot, because being the alpha has invigorated Negan more than any version of him you would have ever expected. And Beta does eventually get his eye stabbed out and multiple parts of him just drastically injured. And at some point, the brutish, fierce, ultimate warrior of the Whispers begins to get beat down, injured, and broken before all the Whisperers and just everybody's eyes. And at some point, Negan uses all his strength with his bat and just his strength to kick Beta into the horde of walkers. And he accepts his fate and is devoured. Meanwhile, Lydia saves Carol, and the both of them have their moments and everything, and that goes the same. Except, it's mainly the Horde that goes over the cliff this time, not so many Whisperers. But some still fall over the edge, but I'll get to that later in the story. And Lydia, as well as Carol, begin to discuss the fact that if Negan's here, and he just killed that Beta guy, and he is still with the Whisperers, Carol says about what she did with the whole Negan Alpha thing, and Lydia says she had that idea, and she is very broken about this, and there's only one thing that could have happened to Daryl. Either Alpha did it, or Negan did it, and they all fear that Negan is the one responsible for Daryl's death. And now they both have to realize that now they're going to have to break this to every single person in the group. And when Maggie comes face to face with everyone, she is the first one to know. And she not only tells them about Daryl, but just everything about Negan since it happened. How she originally got him out, and that he did absolutely nothing wrong up until that point. She thinks that the consumption of being around Alpha, that leader role, must have flipped the switch back in Negan and turned him into a full-blood killing machine monster. And now, Carol, Rosita, Maggie, and everyone else have to prepare for when Negan and the rest of the Whisperers, since they've all gone away now, for when they return, and Negan is the enemy once again, as well as the Reapers, which Maggie has come back from. And the Reapers that showed up in the original still fight our group, but it's Carol and Maggie instead of Daryl and Maggie and several others that fight him off and kill him. And the two of them have fought together plenty of times and have shown, especially at the end with arrows, so they would be able to get this done. No one dies here, except the originals, the small characters. Maggie and Herschel talk, and that's all the same, except it's much different because Maggie's whole persona has changed, because not only is Herschel the only family she has, like the original, but Daryl's gone too. So this drastically destroys the group. Daryl was family, and that means we don't get the episode featured around Carol and Daryl at the end of season 10. The episode with Maze still goes the same. Princess and everybody at the Commonwealth goes the same. Carol and Dog would go on their missions alone if they still went out. But overall, Carol would become the new keeper for Dog, and even Dog would realize that his master is no longer around. And then we would get the backstory episode with Negan, with Lucille. And Negan would be thinking about this, bringing in new whisperers as well as tending to his still fiercely loyal subjects who survived the war with Beta and trying to get away from the group without being seen. And collecting new walkers and hordes to make the Whisperer army stronger than Alpha ever made it. And he knows that in order to do that, he must make himself stronger as well. So, he gathers groups of Whisperers, old, new, and continuing, for a huge meeting. And together, it's going to show how influential Negan is beginning to become as the new leader and alpha to the Whisperers. And with all of them together, he says, it's time we go on a little field trip. And Negan collects Lucille after so long. But he says to one of the mainly smart worker types and people in his group, I want you to combine this little bat toy I got here that I've been using, along with my real bat, Lucille. Make me a true bat worthy of Negan, the Alpha. And he says, if our army is to grow stronger, then surely the Alpha's got to go even higher up as well. And so we see a new bat is forged, a stronger Lucille than any version of the canon show and any story type. This is Lucille, basically the fourth, because we've seen two other types other than the OG Lucille, Brandon's and the Shock Lucille. So this is Lucille 4.0, or the Alpha Lucille, the strongest Lucille ever created. Along with Negan's shotgun, which was once Alpha's, Negan has fully exonerated himself as a true menace and Alpha. And he says, now we wait, my army. Build up. And then when we encounter the group again, we shall expand our territory and conquer all. And he says, and this time, unlike Alpha, no mistakes, no slip-ups, and the world will know the name Negan, Alpha, and Whisperer. So season 11 begins. How will the ending and the next episode fare into Negan being the Alpha and the Whisperers being still a faction, even though parts of them were still alive going into season 11, just like not even 5 of them, but with Negan as the enemy once again, being the Alpha, having a much stronger bat and Lucille than any version has ever seen, and with Daryl Dixon dead, how will the war of him becoming the new Alpha finish off next time?
Now get out!
What?
Get out! Everybody get out!